All right, guys, so last week, Inflection Games, now the accessibility features weren't featured in the stress test that we had. So this is where we're going to see it all on the website. And I just want to go over these for those who are interested in what accessibility features that Inflection was going to have for Nightingale. And if you don't know, Nightingale is the next open world, shared world survival crafting game coming out soon. February 20th, it'll be in early access. They'll be taking feedback and working on it since then, so you'll get a chance to work on it as it's being developed. And I think it's gonna be like $30 when it launches. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into these accessibility features that they have. It says, our goal at Inflection Games is to create spaces of fellowship and belonging. As such, accessibility is something that we're interested in investing in throughout development. It's funny because I used to say Inflexion for some reason. Below are the features we will have for the early access launch of the game on February 22nd, 2024, and is just the starting point for Nightingale. If there are features that would help accommodate your gaming experience, please feel free to post on our feedback board, available at launch, or reach out to a community manager and our Discord server. Now, what if they actually have like a forum to post on, or will it just be like a feedback section inside the Discord? I know a lot of companies are going more towards Discords now. So the expectations and capabilities. Nightingale is a PvE survival crafting game that can be played with up to 6 players in a single cooperative party. While you do not need to prepare for combat from other human players, the Feywilds contain many creatures that wish to do you harm and will require lifetime reactions to deal with them. Player characters are also expected to traverse many different environments and react to the challenges they provide, such as falling or jumping. Those with low or no vision may find the game challenging without assistance, but we invite you to check out the visual options available below. So in the general section, we're going to have difficulty settings where players can choose each realm's difficulty level every time they open a new portal. And realm levels will determine creatures' hit points, damage, and level of resource provided. And this can be done with the cards. For autosave, the game syncs with the servers on an ongoing basis. Manual saves are not mandatory, but it is recommended to quit the game via the menu to ensure a proper save state. For input and navigation, we have key remapping, so players will be able to remap all game keys for both controllers and keyboard and mouse. There is going to be controller support for menu and in-game actions can be accessed via game controllers. Players will need a keyboard if they wish to use party text chat. And it has this little asterisk here, we'll see what that means. Now I wonder if you'll be able to use the add-on keyboard that they have for controllers and stuff, or if you have to actually use a real keyboard. Hold to gather materials rather than having to look at and repeatedly pressing an input to gather items. Players can hold the input to auto-gather all nearby collectible items. It's going to be very useful for a lot of people. The hold button to chop, attack, and mine. Players can hold down an input to continue selecting in-game actions, such as chopping and mining rather than clicking for each action. A run toggle where players can press an input to auto run their characters forward. It's going to be caps lock by default. There's going to be a toggle crouch. By default, crouch is done by a single input and the player will continue to crouch until they press that button again. For mouse sensitivity, players can adjust their mouse sensitivity in the game. Players can adjust their controller joystick sensitivity in the game for controller sensitivity. And then you can invert the X and Y axes. So it's like pressing up will make you look down and pressing down will make you look up, like airplane controls pretty much. So players can choose to individually invert the X and or Y axis for both controllers and keyboard mouse setups. For gamepad dead zone, players can adjust controller dead zones in the settings menu to avoid controller drift. I don't think I've ever experienced controller drift, so I'm not sure what that feels like. For custom waypoints, players can place custom world beacons on the map for world icons that show where and how far the marker is. And then for a map zoom, players can zoom realm maps in and out based on their needs. Oh, so the asterisks were telling us that it wouldn't be available for the stress test that they held. Now for visuals, we're going to have an arachnophobia mode, which removes legs from all spiders and scorpion creatures and replaces them with wings. Creatures retain original audio, visual effects, spiders and scorpions, non-interactable, environmental only, are swapped with ant models. So we also seen this in Grounded as well, where they had a arachnophobia mode. Yeah, spiders can be pretty scary if you're not really going for the deafening fear of spiders that people have, especially when they're like super larger than you, giving people nightmares and stuff, versus the made up other characters and creatures that you come across in Nightingale. Spiders are 8-legged beings, 8-legged freaks, as the movie called them, are probably the most real world things that we can find in games. There's gonna be a third person mode where players can opt in to a third person mode that shows the player character over the shoulder. They're gonna be able to disable motion blur, where you can turn off motion blur in the settings. There'll be FOV sliders where you can adjust a wider or narrow field of view. I suggest everybody turns that up if you're able to. Brightness options, players can adjust the brightness up and down via a gamma slider. The gamma slider is what does the brightness. You turn it all the way down and it gets pretty much pitch black. The disable camera shake, players can turn this option off in the game settings. Character and audio subtitles, voice characters have subtitles by default. Head bobbing, by default there are no head bobbing effects for first or third person modes. Now, head bobbing is like when you're walking and you see like the old Doom video where it's like walking and has this little sway to it. That's what head bobbing is. It's not like you. It's like this little where a lot of people get motion sickness from. Under audio, volume sliders, there are individual volume sliders for all the overall sound mix, sound effects, music, dialogue, voice chat, and player emotes. And then there's reduced player breath sounds. Players can lessen breath noises when reacting to various status effects, tired and low stamina. Now, there is something that I did not see here that I've only really seen in Final Fantasy, and that is where we have the audio visual cues on screen when certain audio is happening. And for visual, I do not see colorblind mode, but I may have not got to that yet. So that's a very important thing as well, seeing that we're going into all these different worlds that are colorful. For communication, we have party text chat. Players can type custom text to other party members. Users will need a keyboard to type their own messages. There's also party voice chat, where players can turn on voice chat in the settings menu and set it to either push to talk or detect by voice activity. Party members will be able to hear other party members regardless of realm or proximity. There's emotes. There will be a limited player character emotes that players can use to communicate with other players, such as pointing, waving, and giving a thumbs up. Hey, give this video a like. Mute options. Players can mute and unmute individual players in their party for either text or voice chat. Now that's interesting. You can mute their text chat. Speech input. Speech input is not required to play or complete Nightingale and is only a supplementary or alternative input method. So I feel like there are still some things that could be added to the game, mainly the colorblind options, which I don't see any of those in here. And the other one was the audio visual effects. If there's any hardcore visual effects, maybe should be a way to lessen those. I won't really know until we get deeper into the game what else could be needed. And of course, those who have certain disabilities or disadvantages will be able to tell what is needed as well. Probably something to increase some of the word size if you needed to. Also, a text increase I think would be good. But those are all the accessibility options. Let me know in the comments what you think should be added, what you think is not really needed. Just let me know all down there. Thank you guys for watching. We're coming back into the Nightingale videos, as well as probably some other survival games coming out. So stay tuned for those, and we have not stopped messing with Wayfinder. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.